Welcome to another episode of Inside the Inferno. I'm Paisley Poole, and alongside me is John Kinney, and we're here to give you the scoop on everything ASU sports.
That's right, Paisley. ASU hockey in its first NCHC Frozen Face-Off, women's basketball with a new head coach, and baseball and softball season in full swing. We've got a jam-packed show this morning.
The number 15 ASU hockey team fell in the Frozen Face-Off last Friday, ending its 2024-2025 inaugural season in the National Collegiate Hockey Conference. Head coach Greg Power's squad ended the season with a 21-14-2 record. Our Mason McKenzie has more details on the Devils' defeat.
Thank you, Paisley. Number 2 seeded Sun Devil Hockey faced the number 3 ranked Denver Pioneers in the NCHC Frozen Face-Off semifinal on Friday night, where it fell 4-2 to the reigning national champions. Denver sophomore defenseman Boston Buckberger opened the scoring a minute and 30 seconds into the game with a shot from the point. Later in the period, the Pioneers struck again with a power play goal from sophomore forward Sam Harris, his 10th of the season. With Denver up 2 just under halfway through the second period, ASU senior forward Ryan Kerwin scored his 26th goal of the season on the man advantage to cut the lead in half. With 30 seconds remaining in the second period, Arizona State graduate student forward Artem Schlein tied the game with an unassisted goal, knotting the game at 2 going into the third. In the final frame, both teams had great scoring chances, with ASU nearly taking the lead on a rebound shot by Kerwin, but Denver capitalized on a 2-on-1 to retake the lead. With less than 2 minutes remaining, the Maroon and Gold pulled their goalie looking for that game-tying goal, but the Pioneers sealed the game with an empty net goal. This Denver win put an end to a great season for the Sun Devils, but despite the loss, this season sets a very strong foundation for the future. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Mason. Over to the basketball court, where on Wednesday evening, Molly Miller was officially introduced as the new Arizona State women's basketball head coach. Adam Coonan has more on the addition of Miller.
Thanks, John. On Wednesday, Arizona State ushered in a new age of Sun Devil women's basketball as the school officially introduced Molly Miller as its next head coach. Miller has experienced plenty of success at the collegiate level with a 297 and 55 record across her 5 years at Grand Canyon and 6 years at her alma mater, Drury. Additionally, she led GCU to a WAC championship and an NCAA tournament appearance this past season, with the Lopes racking up an impressive 32-3 record. However, a long road to prosperity awaits her in Tempe. Coming off their 4th straight losing season, the Sun Devils lost their 2 leading scorers from last season to the portal. Both graduate guard Ty Skinner and junior guard Jalen Brown exited the program, and now Miller must retool the roster with players that fit the new culture she is trying to instill. It's a tall task, but Miller remains optimistic for the journey ahead, and she believes that with a strong foundation in place, she can slowly sail ASU back to the promised land, even if it means having to row before the winds of momentum can get behind the Sun Devils.
I'm trying to revive a program and generate excitement. When there's no wind in your sail, row. And we're gonna row. I'm gonna get a staff here. We're gonna hit the ground running, we're gonna work hard, and we're gonna row. And you know, Pat Summitt, her famous quote was, "How am I gonna beat you? I'm gonna outwork you." That's it, and that's what we plan to do.
With the portaling season in full swing, ASU's new head coach will remain active in recruiting over the next few months to try to hit the ground running in 2025. Nonetheless, the excitement and energy surrounding the program sits at an all-time high, with seemingly brighter days on the horizon for Sun Devil women's hoops. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks for the update, Adam. And Miller has been making herself comfortable here at ASU, already attending a softball game, and just last night was at Chase Field along with Kenny Dillingham and members of the ASU football team. Arizona State is certainly excited to see what Miller can accomplish for the women's basketball program. Now over to the Diamond. Sun Devil baseball is coming off a midweek matchup in Las Vegas against UNLV. Tyler Wargo has the update.
Thanks, Paisley. Sun Devil baseball lost in Las Vegas 6-11 last Tuesday. Senior first baseman Jacob Tobias, redshirt sophomore left fielder Brandon Compton, and sophomore catcher Brody Briggs each recorded 1 RBI in the losing effort. Sun Devil freshman left-handed pitcher Easton Barrett got the start on the mound. The southpaw pitched 3 innings of work, striking out 2 batters and allowing 4 hits. ASU sophomore left-handed pitcher Cole Carline was the only bullpen piece who was able to strike out 2 other batters as the game progressed. For UNLV, senior left fielder Dean Toigo and sophomore Gunnar Myro combined for 6 RBIs, including a double. The UNLV pitchers tallied 5 strikeouts, halting the Sun Devils at 4 hits. Arizona State sits at a 16-9 record going into its next game tonight on the road facing the University of Utah. Back to you all at the desk.
Last weekend, Sun Devil Baseball hosted Kansas in its first Big 12 series. Joining me now is Inferno Intel baseball reporter Tyler Bednar to break down this past weekend series against the Jayhawks. Tyler, thanks for joining me. The Sun Devils bullpen was impressive last weekend. What was most impressive from this group?
Now, the group's overall dominance was most impressive, especially in the first 2 games. The bullpen combined to throw 10 innings and only allow 1 earned run in Game 1 and Game 2 against a team that was averaging 11.8 runs per game in its previous 5. In these games, the bullpen's situational pitching was stellar. There were some moments when they got in trouble, but they always got out of it unscathed.
Is there a player whose performance caught your eye?
Yeah, there were a couple. First, 6'7" sophomore right-handed pitcher Josh Butler threw 4 scoreless and hitless frames against Kansas in Game 2. The team was down when he came in, but he at least kept him in the ballgame because you never know what can happen at Phoenix Municipal Stadium. I liked a lot of what I saw from sophomore right-handed pitcher Wyatt Halverson as well. He came into the game much earlier than most relief pitchers do and had a good command of his off-speed pitches.
Why was the bullpen's performance so important in the series against Kansas?
I think it's important for the bullpen to gain momentum, especially in the remaining Big 12 matchups. Bullpen hasn't necessarily been the team's strong part of the past few seasons, and it's important to see the bullpen perform well against a strong offense. Coming into the game, the Jayhawks ranked first in the Big 12 in many important statistical categories. The team was first in runs, RBI, total bases, slugging percentage, walks, and home runs. The Maroon and Gold will need to rely on its bullpen as the season progresses if they want a shot at making the Big 12 tournament.
Thank you, Tyler, for joining me at the desk to discuss ASU's first Big 12 home series.
Rivalry games can be thrilling, especially between Arizona State and the University of Arizona. Sun Devil softball took on the number 10 Wildcats, and Tanner Buck is here to tell us more about the Territorial Cup Series.
Thank you, Paisley. Sun Devil softball hosted its in-state rival, number 10, Arizona Wildcats, this last weekend for the Territorial Cup Series. The Wildcats ranked 10th nationally and came into this series on a roll. Coming off a 6-game winning streak, one key factor to their success was their stacked offense, which has averaged 6.7 runs in those last 6 games. Arizona junior left fielder Dakota Kennedy had been killing it as of late, batting an average of 500 in her last 14 at-bats. The Sun Devil offense struggled getting runs on the board in the first 2 games, and the Wildcats took advantage of the opportunities with runners on base, taking the first 2 games with scores of 6-1 and 5-1. Fortunately, ASU turned things around in the last game of the series, avoiding the sweep for the 2nd year in a row with a 3-2 victory. ASU is only the 2nd team this season so far to hold the number 1 ranked offense in the Big 12 to only 2 runs.
Staying with softball, this weekend the Sun Devils will be hitting the road for Ames, Iowa for a 3-game series at Iowa State. Tanner, what should fans know about this weekend's series?
John, the Sun Devils are facing the Iowa State Cyclones, who are in 3rd place in the Big 12 conference standings. This Iowa State team comes into this series with a 14-4 record and a record of 4-2 in conference play. Iowa State is coming off a series sweep last week against in-conference rival UCF. The Sun Devils come into this series with a record of 23-10 on the season and 4-5 in the conference. One thing that must continue this season is the success of their highly explosive offense that has scored early in games. Overall, the Sun Devils are 15-3 this season when they are the first team to score. The ASU offense as a whole has a batting average of .313 with junior outfielder Tanya Wendell and utility player AJ Murphy both hitting over .380 overall. The lineup is filled with heavy hitters like Kelsey Hall and Ashley Mejia, who lead the team with 8 home runs each, and a lineup with at least 5 players that have a batting average over .300. On the defensive side, the Sun Devils pitching has kept opposing offenses at bay with an overall ERA of 3.14. Their ace on the hill, Kenzie Brown, has had hitters puzzled all season. She carries a 12-2 record and a 0.98 ERA. good for 6th lowest in the nation, and leads the conference with 137 strikeouts. The lucky number so far has been 4 runs for the Devils. ASU has 20-5 record when scoring 4 more runs, which must be taken advantage of since Iowa State gives up about 4 runs with a team ERA of 4.15. Likewise, on the defensive side, ASU has a 20-1 record when they allow 4 or fewer runs. The Sun Devils play a doubleheader today in the 3rd game to finish this series on Saturday. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Tanner. And that'll be a wrap for today's show of Inside the Inferno. John, it's been a pleasure.
It has, Paisley. Don't forget to follow us on X and Instagram at Inferno Intel and check out our website at infernointelmedia.com. For Paisley Poole and our entire crew, I'm John Kinney. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Inside the Inferno.